Today, you can see we watching the dark side of American prep basketball. This little 6-minute video. I got class at 11:15. It's 10:50 right now. So, hey Cheddar, let's crank this out. Oh no.
In 2017, a group of teenage basketball players arrived from all across the world to what they thought was their ticket to college stardom. It was a newly founded prep academy promising elite coaching and unlimited national exposure to college scouts. But once they got there, they found themselves living out of a converted garage and without sufficient food or hot water. Dreams were shattered, families' life savings were gone, and some even found themselves arrested and behind bars. Sadly, this wasn't an isolated event. This is the dark side of American prep basketball, where the pursuit of athletic excellence has opened the door to broken promises, corruption, and straight-up fraud.
I think I know where this is.
Now, prep academies weren't always like this. Schools like Montverde or Oak Hill Academy have been around for 100 years. During that time, they built their reputations first as prestigious academic institutions. Naturally, over decades and with access to funding, they developed elite athletic programs to go with it. And this produced NBA stars like D'Angelo Russell, Carmelo Anthony, and Kevin Durant. These schools became the gold standard, offering proper facilities, elite coaching, a well-rounded education, and legitimate access to college recruitment. Of course, all of this at a price, sometimes upwards of $60,000 a year. But around 2000, everything started to change. The rise of the internet and social media meant that high school players could become overnight sensations by one viral clip. And with that trend, basketball was becoming increasingly global, and the competition for these Division I scholarships was skyrocketing. On top of that, due to the NBA's recruiting cycle being mostly in the spring and summer, more and more attention was being placed on these summer basketball tournaments like AAU. College basketball recruiters were finding their guys at these AAU summer tournaments, making the traditional high school basketball season less and less relevant and more for just following up with guys you already knew about. This caused players and families to look for other avenues outside of high school to get more exposure to college recruiting. Then in 2006, the popularity of basketball academies really began to take off with the formation of Findlay Prep in Henderson, Nevada. Founded by automotive millionaire Cliff Findlay, it made no...
It's literally cutting off all this right here. It's cool.
Qualms about the fact that this school was solely for developing elite basketball talent.
We have one team, that's it. It's nothing like any school you've ever been to.
Cliff recruited the best players from all across the country and bought a house for them all to live under one roof. The education part of the school was secondary and was outsourced to a local private school, Henderson International. And technically the model worked. Findlay Prep won national championship after national championship and produced NBA stars like Avery Bradley, Kelly Oubre, and Tristan Thompson. So the framework for these basketball factories was set, but not without skepticism.
The biggest storyline I'd say is that Findlay's not a real school. You know, our guys do what they want.
I thought it was going to be a huge campus.
The high school is just us.
Regardless, Findlay Prep's success sparked a gold rush. Dozens of similar academies started sprouting up all across the country, promising the same formula: exposure, elite coaching, and a fast track to Division I basketball. But unsurprisingly, this new and unregulated market created a hotbed for fraud.
There are a lot of fly-by-night programs that's not accredited that, you know, can open up with a bag of money and say, hey, come here, an AAU program, and now let's go play a national schedule. So I get it.
Well, it's a pretty novel high school basketball concept. Shannon Forest Christian School will play host to something called the 22 Feet Basketball Academy, which their goal is to compete against the likes of Oak Hill Academy and other national...
22-foot academy. What? That's even a stupid name.
...hours and develop not only basketball players, but students in an area they found perfect.
That ain't none like,
in 2013, Mike Rawson founded a school by the name of 22 Feet Academy. It was going to follow the same model as Findlay Prep, housing all the players under one roof and outsourcing the education. And with Mike Rawson being from the UK originally and a former EuroLeague agent, his vision was to not only recruit domestic talent, but international as well. In no time at all, 22 Feet Academy was going to rival the likes of Montverde or IMG Academy with its elite coaching staff and facilities. However, it would only take a few short years for the facade to come crashing down. Rawson's vision quickly faded when when bills for equipment and other necessities were going unpaid. The converted garage that upwards of 10 players were living in at a time was becoming vermin infested, and these promised upgraded facilities were nowhere to be found. The situation only grew worse when the authorities discovered that Rawson and his wife were running a visa fraud scheme. The consequences were devastating, including the arrest and deportation of Turkish player Mumin Tunk. The indictment stated that Rawson did not require regular school attendance, allowed students to take online courses in violation of their visas, and allowed them to transfer repeatedly without being properly sponsored on an
literally
updated
ruined that
Form
guy's
I-20.
The Rawson
future.
duo was charged with defrauding the United States.
If that foreigner was nice, even if he wasn't nice, like, the exposure he could have got from hooping in America could have did anything for him, even if he didn't make the NBA, bro.
Nobody seemed to know all the other things that were going on underneath the surface. It seems to be the students that are the ones that are hurting right now.
Unfortunately, 22 Feet Academy isn't an anomaly. Across America, similar stories have been playing
heard
out.
some like
Unaccredited
this
diploma
here
mills churn
in
out
Ohio.
these fraudulent transcripts that often leave players ineligible to even play college basketball. Over and over again, we see these basketball factories closing without warning, leaving families without refunds and without many
It was a
options.
football
Even
team, though, I ain't
successful
gonna lie.
programs aren't immune. Even Findlay Prep had to close its doors back in 2019. The tragedy of the
Okay.
situation is it's not the five-star recruits
Wait,
that
why did it
back
happen
in
to
20
Finley, though? That's crazy. So it's common in these type of basketball prep schools.
19. The tragedy of the situation is it's not the five-star recruits destined for the NBA that are suffering the most. It's the families that are betting everything on their child's dream. Parents draining savings accounts or taking out loans to pay tuition, desperate for that promised exposure to college scouts. Too often they're left with nothing but debt and disappointment, and
Right.
sometimes for these international students, deportation. As competition for these
18
college scholarships
degrees and they
continues
still got
to
us going
intensify
classes,
and
bro.
international players increasingly vie for spots at American universities, the pressure on these young athletes and their families just continues to grow. And while there are still legitimate prep academies that continue to develop their talent the right way, the industry's dark side persists. It's all a cautionary tale of what happens when the dreams of a young athlete collide with corruption and unregulated greed. If you're considering going to a prep academy, do your research, check accreditation, talk with former students, and if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Do
Peace.
your research. See y'all in the next video. Like it up.